Hi guys, welcome to Sophquest Synergy. Today I'm going to do the second in my series of 4 top 5 favorite seasonal decks. This is actually called hashtag 5 Fave Autumn Decks 2019. If you click on Sophquest Synergy right down there, in black letters, you of course would go to my page and you could pull up videos and find the first video in the series that I did, which is called hashtag 5 Fave Summer Decks 2019. So that's, we've already done that. I have no idea why I didn't do it in the spring. I didn't come back at that point yet. But I used my 5 Fave Summer Decks, and that's when I realized the way that I actually circulate my decks in my collection, which is how this entire hashtag thing started. I came back onto YouTube and I did a VR to Cali Bear and showed some of the decks that I love, that I can't live without. And then I thought about this idea because as I was trying to choose those decks, I realized my habits, the way that I kind of circulate through my entire collection, and I always choose the decks that I associate with that season. I think the reason that maybe I do this is because I'm originally from upstate New York, and we had very distinct seasons, very distinct 4 different seasons. Spring, lots of flowers, bright green grass. Summer, just lots of sun, the trees in full flourish, the noises of summer, it's just the colors of summer. And autumn, boy, did it change everything, right? The trees, we have a lot of deciduous trees in upstate New York, so the trees would turn, from like yellow to orange, red to brown, and then they would crinkle and fall off, and then they would just be in their naked form. And I loved every stage of it. I used to sit under the trees and just watch them blow in the wind and feel the cool breezes. And I have to admit, autumn is my favorite season. Hands down, definitely my favorite season. And for many reasons, and I'll go into that during this video. But then, of course, in winter, everything would become blanketed in white after it snowed, and it would be pristine and brand spanking new until those blooms would burst through the ground again and start it all over. So I don't know how to say it other than that. I just miss them. I miss the seasons. And now I've lived in Florida now for a very long time, since my early 20s, and I'm in my 50s now, so a long time that I've lived in Florida, and I have missed the seasons all along. And even as a fractal artist, when I would do my fractal calendars, I would pick out the art pieces that I felt were like spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And that's how I would put my calendars together. So it's the way my brain works, and hey, there you go. To all of the deck creators, I will say, of course, your tarot decks can be used at all times of the year. Of course they can. And many people, they don't choose decks seasonally. So perhaps you wouldn't want to do this particular tarot tag. But if you notice that you do kind of circulate through your collection and choose certain decks during certain times of the year, it may not have anything to do with the climate or the weather. It may have to do with an association that you have. So if so, please join in and then tag you're it. Okay, so I'm going to begin. And firstly, I do want to say to my subscribers, hey guys, nice to be back. I hope that you did see the October reading that I did for the collective. I did do each particular sign. I got an added bonus reading with oracle cards that were added into the Tree of Life spread that I used. So it's one very long video, but I wanted to do it that way and do one comprehensive thing so that you could just click from the timestamps to your sun, moon, and rising signs. And that way I could do the one video and save some time to do some preparing and packing because I'm going overseas. Yay! So since I'm going to be traveling, I thought it would be an easier way to do that at this time. And sort of jump back in slowly. By the way, this is work, guys. Tarot tubing, it's work. And any kind of YouTube work. You guys would have no idea about what the video production takes. I'm just saying. It takes time. All right, so I'm going to jump in. I do want to tell you guys that if you do like the video and you decide to like it and hit the subscribe button, which would be down here, please click that little bell next to the subscribe button so that you do get notifications for when I do upload new videos for you, okay? All right, now I'm looking at my notes because I had to make a couple of notes. This is my second time doing this video because my camera died and I just kept on going, and so I just left it for yesterday and decided to start over today, so that's what I'm doing. All right, I've picked 5 decks for different reasons. I'll go through why, and I hope that you enjoy the video. I really, really do. Thank you so much for coming and viewing it. All right, firstly, I want to talk about how I enter the season of autumn. It's the same way every year. As soon as the kids start going back to school and I start to see those yellow school buses, something in me just gets excited. I know that's nerdy, but I was a kid who loved the first day of school. I loved going back to school. I loved going school supply shopping. And the truth is, I still do. Pens, pencils, paper, journals, folders. I still love that stuff. I absolutely love that stuff. And so there's just something about it. I love books, I love reading, I love learning. I'm a double air sign, and that's just never left me. You know, it's just a part of who I am. And I will try to learn until the day I die. That's just the way that I am. So I want to actually highlight this first deck for that reason. It was back to school time, and it begins autumn for me. It feels that way right at the beginning of September when we enter into the Burr months. That's what we call it in the Northern Hemisphere, the Burr months, because it's cold. But I am also wanting to say hi to those who are in the Southern Hemisphere, in Australia, New Zealand, and everyone else, and just say hello and tell you that I hope you have a very happy spring. So you've already been through your autumn decks, and maybe, just maybe, you'd like to go ahead and tell us what you used during autumn. What were your 5 faves, right? And then you can continue on with us as we go through. My first deck that I chose is called The Art of Life Tarot. It's by Charlene Livingston, and you can see on the top of the front of the box, it looks like harvest. So my first association and indication, hey, why not use me at this time? No, my decks do not speak to me. Okay, before I actually talk about why I love the deck, I want to say that I also use these cards at other times of the year, most certainly, and they're all absolutely amazing decks. And truly any tarot deck, like I said, can be used at any time of the year. So please do not feel like I'm saying you should limit your use of any tarot decks ever. You know, you can pull them off your shelf and use one a week if you want, if you have that many. I have, I don't know, approximately 30, I think, at this point. So this is just the way I circulate through them. All right, so The Art of Life Tarot. The thing that I absolutely love about this deck is that it has classic pieces of artwork that are highlighted on each card. And so, no, it doesn't look like the RWS. But could a beginner use this deck? Absolutely. Because it could give you a different look at what that particular card might mean for you. So, along with the classic artwork that is shown, and of course, all the credits are underneath the piece of artwork. So of course it says the title of the piece and who it's by, who created the art, and then the year that it was created. Then underneath that is a literary quote. So poets and writers, authors, over time, that are given credit for their quotes, that are given credit. I'm a little tongue-tied today. So for instance, this is the Ten of Pentacles. Not what we love, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. Ten of Pentacles. Not what we love, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. That makes me think of a song, actually. It's not having what you want, it's wanting what you have. Remember? Do you remember? What song is that from? Would you leave me a comment? I think it's Sheryl Crow. actually. I do. Yes, it's definitely Sheryl Crow. It's not having what you want, it's wanting what you have. So it's really about gratitude. It's about having everything that you need, right? Feeling safe and secure, being with family, friends. Love it. The Eight of Swords. You can never cross the ocean unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. You got to walk out of those 8 swords encircling you. That mind prison, right? Analysis paralysis, we all do it. Well, at least air signs. I certainly do. I am Gemini Sun, Gemini Rising, Virgo Moon. Mercury, Mercury, Mercury. Yeah. So 8 of Swords is like a natural state for me. I'm always overthinking pretty much everything, right? I can't help myself. But I should remember, you can never cross the ocean unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. So put it into action, right? Yeah. The Hanged Man. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. So I absolutely love this deck. By the way, the backs are by Klimt, one of my favorite artists, which I did mention in my #5 Fave Summer Decks 2019 in that video, which you can find on my videos page. So the deck is amazing, and you know, I could go through these and just show you each artwork is beautiful. There's an amazing variety. So if you're actually interested in art history and you would like to learn some of the classic pieces, this would be an excellent deck to have in your collection. And I appreciate it with all my heart. I truly love it. So I think that if you're like me and you really do love quotes and you love to read, you know, and you love to just look at artwork and read poetry, things like that, you would love this deck. I find it to be a quiet deck, and it really is introspective. When I do a spread for a client, I would imagine it would be kind of deep, and I would read the quote, I believe, to the client. I haven't used this for a client, but I would. I've used it for myself a number of times. But I would read the quote and let it sit with the client and let it sink in. So this reminds me of back to school. It reminds me of learning. It reminds me to have reverence for art history and literature and all the things that I love. Because when we collect tarot decks, whether we are putting them up on our shelves or putting them in a beautiful keepsake box or in a cloth bag, however we keep our decks, it's like a book collection for us. This is a book. It's a book of, it's a living book, isn't it? Really? It's a living book of how we live, so I love that. Okay, second Fave Autumn deck. Now, moving more into the beginnings of October, I actually love the weather then the most because it's really, the breezes start to pick up. We actually start to feel autumn here in Florida. I am in South Florida, Pompano Beach near Fort Lauderdale, and that's when I really start to feel the breezes and the air, the thick, heavy air of Florida that is humid, lightens up. Just lightens up and becomes lighter, and you breathe easier, and it just feels so nice. It's really, it's heavenly, and we look forward to it every year, we Floridians. So I must say it's true. Of course you know this deck. I'm sure you do. I have already spoken about it actually. I used it in the spread that I did for October for all of you. It's the Druidcraft Tarot deck, and that is by Philip and Stephanie Carr-Gomm, illustrated by the amazing Will Worthington, a great artist. I love this deck because October is really the beginning of, for the Americans anyway, in the Northern Hemisphere, whoever might celebrate our holidays. It's when holiday season really does begin. You know, we kind of begin with the pre-Halloween shopping for costumes, decorating up a little bit. We start to buy all of the autumn vegetables, and you see a lot of autumn decorations all around. It's just fun, and I absolutely love that time of year. I love going out into the villages and the shops. I love going to outdoor concerts in the autumn, and I like to get out more. I really do. I want to just get out and walk along. There's something about that time of year. And this deck shows everyday life. Lots of people going about their days, doing what they do, working, sitting together, talking, laughing, moving forward. I love the colors of this deck. It feels like early October for me. And I love the tartans. The tartans, the plaids. I am a plaid fanatic. I love it. I don't really wear it. I use plaid more for accessories if I'm going to wear it, like a scarf or a hat. Things like that, a purse. That's how I like to do plaids. I haven't found a plaid that really looks good otherwise yet, but if I found something that was plaid, I would go for it because I love it. The exception to that is Christmas pajamas. Every year, the family, we wear our plaid Christmas pajamas. It's just a thing for us, yeah. But it starts in the autumn. That's when we begin to see plaid all over, right? Plaid everywhere, and I adore it. I absolutely adore it. So that's another part of the deck that I love that. I love to see different tartans. I just do. And of course, this is a Celtic deck. And I love the characters, the people. It's very dynamic. One of my favorite moon cards ever. I adore the colors. The dog and the wolf, the tame and the untamed. Just light enough for your conscious mind to be aware of subconscious things, right? The moon card. I love it. So I absolutely do love this deck. Everything about it. I do love the way that he just paints the day-to-day things that we do and how he uses color and vibrancy to accentuate the dynamism of the movement and the activities in the cards. I adore that. That's Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords in this deck is more really about how we're going to move forward procedurally. We're thinking about it. We're trying to come up with a brand new solution because we're having to. We're having to strategize for whatever reason because it's just not working. We got to come up with a new plan. See? Different. So the Seven of Swords has layers. That's one of those cards I think readers, have to associate the surrounding cards to really get into the meat and potatoes of the card, Absolutely. So this is a fabulous deck that I love so much, and it is definitely in my 5 fave autumn decks. Alright, and then autumn is in full on Halloween mode. But first, before then, going out and about, being near the festivals and all the concerts and everything, I love to enjoy something that is a favorite thing of mine. And I know it might be strange, but it's something I love. And I love streets in villages, tiny little alcoves inside of the streets in the villages where there are little cafes. I like doorways, like archways and trellises and entrances, things like that. And I absolutely love doors and windows. I love it. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the architecture and the structure of all the buildings. So I really do enjoy that. I enjoy walking around outside in and amongst all of the different architecture. And one of the things I love the most are stained glass windows. I'm crazy about them. Every single time I see a stained glass window, I have to stop. I have to stop. I have to admire it. I have to look at it. It's something I love, I just have to say. And this deck, my third deck, reminds me of stained glass windows, which reminds me of autumn because I'm outside and I'm looking at everything, and every year I end up noticing them. I just notice them. It's the Crystal Tarot by Elisabetta Trevisan. It is a deck that has these white borders. Here are the backs. They look like windows with the sun and the moon. Aren't they beautiful? I love that. Did I show the back of the Druidcraft? Nice brown color. And I did show you the back of these, the clumped back of the Art of Life. Okay, so the Crystal Tarot. This is a deck I would call a pip deck. So just like a Marseille decks, whatever number of that card, of that suit, is what you see. So the Two of Cups is 2 cups. The Three of Cups is 3 cups. Right? That's a pip deck. So there's a little bit of illustration around them. I adore these colors together. Every time I've ever decorated for autumn, it isn't just yellow, brown, orange, green. I love teal and plum, like a dark purple color in autumn. I think they're beautiful to add to your autumn wardrobe. Those colors look beautiful in autumn. And this deck has them. I love them. I absolutely, I think the major arcana is gorgeous. Every single one of them. And you have to look deep. These cards, when you dive in, boy, it really opens up your intuition, I have to say. And that does happen with a pip deck, doesn't it? I think with the pip decks, if you know some astrology and know some numerology, you really do have an idea when you're looking at a card like this, 3 cups, what does that mean, right? For a beginner reader, I don't know. I would maybe start with RWS. That would probably be a better piece of advice. But once you start working with any kind of Marseille deck or pip deck, you do allow for your intuition to really open up. And the numbers speak to you. They do. They really, really do. I always say God's a mathematician. Because everything in the cosmos, it's so mathematical and coded. I'm a fractal artist. When I look at how to create shape, dimension, color, everything has mathematical code. That's how you create fractal art. You use algorithms in the computer to create them. So it's kind of a nerdy thing, but I love it. I do. Absolutely love it. So I am mathematical that way, and my brain sort of can read numbers in that way, I guess. Opens up that part of my brain and elicits from my left and right brain both an open, clear chakra system for my intuition, my third eye, to see whatever I'm supposed to see in the card for myself or for my client or my family member, whomever I'm reading. So it does happen. It really can happen if you practice with it and work with it. You know, once you get to your, what do they say, you're a pro once you've done something for 10,000 hours. Once you're very practiced and you read for quite a long time, you really can read the layers upon layers within layers, right, of each card. So I love this deck. I absolutely do. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck, the Tower. I think it's a beautiful depiction because the Tower always comes down. It was a foundation that wasn't strong enough to last. So it was for a season or a reason, but not for a lifetime. It was just for a short time. Because, and if you look at the Tower, you can see all the different striations in the different colors, which says they use different materials, right? The silt or the cement or whatever they use to build the Tower, they used different materials at different times that settled in different ways, at different angles. which does not create for anything that is set in stone. So it becomes an unstable thing that won't last long, and then the tower comes down. So they are beautiful depictions. And here's what I mean about a pip deck. The Ten of Swords, you know, the Swords suit is about the intellect, as you all know, but the Swords, as you progress through the Swords suit, you're really learning some lessons and having to problem solve. Every time we see swords, we're thinking, okay, what do we have to think about here to problem solve? And at the 10, all these swords are pointing inwards toward almost like a target. By the time you get to the 10, you fit your target. You know what to do. It doesn't always mean that it's negative. So if I use this deck and I pulled this card, I wouldn't necessarily have a negative connotation at all about the Ten of Swords, where in the RWS, it's 10 swords in someone's back. Ouch. That brings out a visceral response, doesn't it? And it just seems so painful. But so, you know, it just depends on the decks, right? Isn't that really why, as readers, we do circulate decks? Because we really do get different messages from different decks. And it matters. It matters depending on what client you're reading. And you have to go with your gut about it. You really do. So you can see why I love this deck in autumn. The colors are beautiful. The paintings are spectacular. I absolutely love them. And I use them a lot during the autumn and enjoy them very much. They have the 4 languages on the bottom. Yes, they have the white border, and I know a lot of people don't like that, but I don't mind it at all. I actually really enjoy reading the languages. I love linguistics. I do. I love linguistics. So it's fun for me to read them in the different languages. Something I like. Okay, the 4th deck. We are at the end of October and moving into November, but first is Halloween. And I gotta tell you, my favorite Halloween costume of all time is my steampunk costume. Yes, yes, yes. So in honor of that, I decided when I bought this deck that I would try a steampunk deck, mostly for the visual art, because again, I'm an artist, I love art, and I have to say, anything steampunk appeals to me. It just does. I love the dichotomy of it. Of course I do. I'm a Gemini. I just absolutely do. So, of course, steampunk fashion, or, you know, steampunk look, decor, whatever, it is Victorian era, maybe before and after, depending, but that sort of era meeting post-apocalyptic, broken down machine parts and technology, and making use of all of that together. I don't know who really began the movement of steampunk or where it started. I honestly don't know, but I am so very grateful that I got this deck. It is absolutely one of my favorite decks, and by the way, I use this throughout the year. Absolutely do. But there's a mood in this deck, a mood that I just adore it. I don't know what it is so much. It's has a darker feel. The characters are also moodier. And there's always an element in each card. The way Barbara Moore describes these characters in the book, it's brilliant. She describes the dichotomy in a really brilliant way, and each card has its own little paragraph, its own little story, a little snippet of this person's life when you're looking at someone. Oh my gosh, these are some of my favorite cards. I love this King of Swords because he's looking at a book. The King of Swords is a knowledgeable person. Someone who's yang, could be a man, but maybe not. If it's a female who's very much in her yang energy and using her intellect and is out there just at the top, I suppose, octave of the air suit, then she's kicking it, man. She knows what she's doing. So the book represents someone who's knowledgeable or learned. And of course, when an air sign doesn't know what they're going to do, then they go get information. They learn. Once they know, then they take action. That's the King of Swords. I love this Chariot. I've always called this card Riding the Storm Out. Isn't that what the Chariot is? You're ready to go. You don't have time to think about anything anymore. You got to grab the reins. It's time to move forward, and it's happening quickly. And maybe you're not sure which direction to go yet, but you're going to Google map it, and you'll figure it out as you go. And there may be inclement weather that you're going to have to deal with, so you try on your windshield wipers, you know. And so the Chariot is like that. It's moving forward, sometimes quickly, sometimes because you're multitasking. You just got to do things, 2 or 3 things at once, but you're always making progress with the Chariot. And you're going to reach your goal. You're going to get there. Riding the storm out. I love this deck. It's got a moodiness. It's got this darkish, November-ish look for me. And look at that 2 of Pentacles. Riding a bicycle on the ocean. That's impossible. And yet she's doing it. Trying to juggle. Trying to keep those balls in the air. Trying not to drop the ball. 2 of Pentacles. And trying to figure out how to make it easier. How do I get back on shore? How do I get back on shore? These cards have something, each card, and they do have a sense of humor about them. But they also have a darkness about them. Because when we're going through Scorpio, when we're going through the deep, dark waters of our subconscious, of our deep feelings about things, right? And then coming out of Scorpio season and going into Sagittarius season, when in America we have Thanksgiving and we have to take a moment to have reverence for our family, the good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it. Loving people for who they are, unconditionally. Having boundaries, but looking at life through the lenses of, you know, patience, tolerance, perseverance, the things that a person who's going through any type of self-quest, wisdom questing, soul growth, who's trying to work out their karma, work toward their dharma, well, that kind of enlightened person isn't afraid to look at some of the shadow side stuff. They're not afraid to look at their shadow. They're not afraid to face their fears. Or if they're afraid, then they exact their courage and do it anyway. You can't be courageous without some fear. I love this deck. There's a lot there, guys, and there's a lot to talk about using this deck, and I love it with all my heart. It's definitely always going to be one of the decks that I pull out in autumn. And other times for clients, a lot. It's a great deck for clients. And finally, as we end out November and it gets really, really, in Florida, I mean, it's going to get as nippy as it gets. And I've lived from the top of Florida and Jacksonville all the way down basically to almost Miami here. And yeah, I will say Jacksonville does get cold occasionally. Actually cold. Like in the 40s. Does happen, but not a lot, maybe a couple of weeks. And in South Florida, I have not seen it yet. The coldest we've gotten here is in the maybe high 60s, mid to high 60s, which is why so many people come here, right? But in November, I like to look at cards that look a little bit darker. And one of the things I notice is once it starts getting cold, I start thinking about that. When it's cold, people want to stay inside. They want to get cozy, put a blanket on them, and put some cozy socks on and slippers. Maybe light some candles or have some pretty incandescent lighting, and make a lot of soups. And it's a very sensual time, isn't it? And this deck does that for me. This is Tarot de la Nuit, Tarot of the Night. Alexandra Bach and Carol Ann Ashkenazi collaborated to do this deck. And I must say about Alexandra Bach, I actually have a bit of a tie to her on DA. I'm a fan, and I have done many articles. I was a gallery director for about a year on DeviantArt.com, and I would do features and feature many artists every week. And I certainly have featured Alexandra Bach many times. And I am very happy to know that she took her artwork and put it into a beautiful tarot deck that I can look at and appreciate and look deeper into the paintings, into the meanings. And now I'll show you the cards. I do love the purple backs. Oh, by the way, steampunk back with each of, you know, the sword, the wand, the pentacle, the cup on what looks like sort of a map compass thing. So that's cool. Steampunk. These are the purple backs for Tarot de la Nuit, and it has the moon cycles. And there is both feminine and masculine people in this deck. And I'm going to put them down so I can see them as I'm showing you as well. There is a dark moodiness. This deck is about the night. And when you read the introduction to the book and you read through the book, you understand that Alexandra Paul really has this very sensual and romantic way of thinking about the night without shying away from all that subconscious stuff that maybe spooks us a little, that scares us a little, the things we don't know, the things we can't see, the things in the dark, the things in the moonlight. And she paints with this kind of creamy dreaminess that is beautifully done, by the way. She is a digital artist and digital painter using photo manipulation and digital painting over using stock photos and different things, unless she paints them completely at this point. If I'm wrong, please comment and I will actually go and ask her. I'll go onto her page to see whether or not these are 100% paintings. I believe they're digital photo manips and digital painting together. Okay, but they are so stunning. So they seem very photorealistic, which is why I do say that, but I could be wrong, guys, and these could just be paintings. Digital paintings can be very almost photorealistic, so it's very possible, and I honestly don't know, so I'm sorry, I'm going to look that up. Comment for me, okay? Let me know if you have this deck. When I read this deck, I think it gives really good love readings. And especially maybe for singles. I've read a couple I've read some singles that are kind of looking for love. And you know, they didn't want to look for love in all the wrong places. There's something very emotional, very openly emotional, raw about these characters and what they're going through. And when I look at them, I actually step inside the scene and put myself in their shoes and ask myself, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? And that takes me right into my intuition and helps me to read these cards. They're gorgeous laid out in a spread, guys. I mean, in a tableau, they are they're the most beautiful cards. They're just gorgeous. I will say the deck does have a little bit of chipping going on the sides. There, some of the purple has come off on the sides, but not bad. Not too badly, considering how much I've used them. Here is the extra card that's given in the deck. It's called the Angel de la Nuit, the Angel of the Night. And it is about someone who's gone through awakening in her conscious, awakening in her subconscious, learning about what's in the dark for her and what scares her and getting through it, making it through the dark night of the soul and making it out towards the light. It's a beautiful deck, guys, and I really do love it. So in the autumn, I really kind of I work my way through what I remember the climate to be like and what I like to do during those times of the year. It's just ending here with the Queen of Swords, which is my card. I always consider this my card. Interestingly enough, she's holding a sword, but every single time I look at this card, by the way, I see a woman playing a harp. And I think, sing your song. Sing your song, your sign. Queen of Swords always gets a bad rap. And I always want to say to people, Queen of Swords really loving, actually. because she can see people so clearly for who they are and love them for who they are. Yes, she's very forthright. That is true. Okay, guys, so my hashtag 5 Fave Autumn Decks 2019. Art of Life Tarot, Charlene Livingston. The Druidcraft Tarot by Philip and Stephanie Carr-Gomm, illustrated by Worthington. I didn't show you that box again. We did the boxes. The Crystal Tarot by Elisabetta, Trevisan. The Steampunk Tarot, I'm sorry if I didn't say it, book written by Barbara Moore, brilliantly, by the way, and all of the artwork illustrated by Ali Fell. Ali, props, girl. I love them. I love these images so much. Yes. Props to both of you. Big time. Barbara Moore and Ali Fell. And to Alexandra Bach. Hi, Alexandra. Great to see you and out doing a tarot deck, and I hope it does brilliantly well for you. So you should be very proud. These are beautiful. Tarot de la Nuit by Alexandra Bach and Carol Ann Ashkenazi. Gorgeous. Very much so. These are my top 5 fave autumn decks, guys. So, tag your it. Tag your it. Your turn. If you decide that you're going to do a VR response, please do use the hashtag and the name 5 Fave Autumn Decks 2019 so that when people click on it, they can get the whole list and watch everybody else's as well. But also, please leave a link in the description box below in this video so that I can put it together into a collection for everyone to check out. It's really fun to look at everybody's decks, but not just that, because many people have similar decks or the same decks. What I enjoy most about these kinds of videos is really hearing why people like the deck or what they see in the cards. I always find that part interesting. So thanks, guys. I want to say goodbye with kindness, reverence, and gratitude. Thank you so much. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and more than anything else, thank you for viewing this today. Have a great day. Bye.